The zero RB draft strategy is alive and well. In fact, 2023 is shaping up to be the best year to draft zero RB ever. The overall fantasy football market, running back depth and valuation, and the importance of drafting elite wide receivers have all aligned to point towards zero RB being the ultimate draft strategy for 2023. Let's start by defining zero RB. The zero RB term and strategy was originated by Shawn Siegele back in 2013. The basis of the strategy as defined by Siegele is to take at most one high upside running back in either the 4th or the 5th round of a draft, or in most cases, not to take any until at least the 6th. It wasn't long ago that the first round of fantasy football drafts was filled with mostly, if not all, running backs. Yet in today's game, when you look at ADP data, there are routinely 6+ wide receivers being drafted in the first round. And the wide receiver craze doesn't stop there. Wide receivers are being drafted in the early rounds at a higher rate than ever. Now, you could galaxy brain yourself into thinking you should zig when others zag and load up on running backs early, but there are a couple problems with that. First, the high-end wide receivers are performing like never before, and they're delivering dominant week-winning performances in league-winning seasons that we used to count on from running backs. Plus, sometimes we just need to follow the market. If the market is telling us we need to get our wide receivers early, then we just need to get our wide receivers early. At the same time, there aren't enough bell cow running backs to think that we could gain an advantage by drafting running back heavy early anyway. The NFL has shifted to a more committee-focused approach to their backfields, which makes those high fantasy point outputs fewer and farther between. It also gives us more usable running backs because there are more teams than ever giving us multiple fantasy relevant running backs. So now the supply is greater than it used to be, which brings down the demand. We can also look at fragility. When the zero RB draft strategy was first coined by Shawn Siegele, the forefront of his argument was that running backs are far more fragile and have a high bust rate compared to the other positions. In fact, since 2017, 20% of running backs with an ADP in round 1 or 2 have missed 5 or more games during the course of a single season. The basis of the strategy then became to load up on wide receivers early with at least one quarterback or tight end in the first 5 rounds, and then find running backs with upside for high scoring weeks without paying high draft capital. But it doesn't end there. We're not just accepting that we're going to play pin the tail on the running back all season long and let the position be a weak point in our lineup. We actually want it to become a strength, whether that's through hitting on a mid or late round running back in the draft that performs like an early round pick, or by working the waiver wire during the season to find that hero mid-season ad. Whatever the route, the ultimate goal is that by end of the season, we are just as strong at running back as our league mates. But the difference is, and this is where we get our advantage, is that we also have stud wide receivers, quarterbacks, and tight ends because we drafted top tier guys at those positions early in our drafts. We want to build a juggernaut. A successful zero RB team will do this while accessing upside and unlocking a ceiling greater than that of other roster constructions. That's why if you're not getting like a top 8 running back in the first 2 rounds, you might as well wait on the position. Because drafting a 3rd round running back who doesn't have an elite ceiling won't allow our teams to reach that maximum potential. Zero RB is a very niche strategy that can be very effective, but we have to know when to use it. League settings are important when considering drafting zero RB. There are a few settings that a league can have that help optimize the zero RB draft strategy, like fab bidding. This allows you to be aggressive rather than being held down by the waiver wire priority order. If you're able to be aggressive, you can be sure to acquire that hot waiver wire running back. The league should also be PPR or at worst half PPR, because that brings more value to wide receivers and increases the depth of usable running backs. The league should require at least 2 running back starters. This allows the chance to load up on wide receivers early as opponent drafters are taking more running backs and taking them earlier. You should also be able to start at least 4 to 5 wide receivers. This includes flex spots. With all those early wide receivers, you'll have an edge in multiple starting slots. Now, draft slot is also important. If you're in a position to draft a stud running back like a Christian McCaffrey or an Austin Eckler, or even guys in the 2nd round like Nick Chubb or Tony Pollard, there's no need to pass over them just to force the zero RB strategy. Instead, you can pivot to what is sometimes called hero RB or anchor RB, which is when you draft one early round stud running back and then wait many rounds before drafting another. But before we get into how to execute the zero RB draft strategy and when to use it, if you are enjoying this video and find it at all valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll be pumping out content like this all summer long. And hey, leave me a comment. Let me know what you want me to talk about next. Okay, so now we understand the zero RB draft strategy and when to use it, but now we need to know how to do it effectively. After we load up on wide receivers early with maybe an elite quarterback or tight end as well, we will eventually need to start drafting running backs. This is where this strategy starts to get challenging. It's not always easy to find quality running back talent with potential to smash their ADP once we get past the first few rounds. This is why so many fantasy gamers shy away from the zero RB strategy, but it's also why it's so effective when done right. When it's time to actually start drafting running backs, we can't just pick any random backs. Remember, we're looking for running backs who can exceed their ADP with the upside to return early round production at a late round price. And there are several archetypes of running backs that we should target when drafting zero RB that will help us accomplish this goal, like drafting a running back from an uncertain backfield. We're ultimately looking for a breakout star. Many times, breakout running backs come from ambiguous situations. We can also look at rookies. Late round rookies naturally have contingent upside. We haven't seen them on an NFL field before, so there is a lot of unknown, specifically in regards to their role. And they often come from these aforementioned uncertain backfield situations. We can also look at running backs who have contingent upside. These are our handcuff running backs. But they're not just any backups. They have to be the clear and obvious backup where we know if the starter goes down, they are going to assume the majority of the workload. Very few of these exist in today's NFL. Or we could look to receiving backs. Pure receiving backs don't give us the league-winning upside that we really want when drafting zero RB, but they can give us some standalone value and be an early season bridge to what will hopefully be an emerging breakout from someone else. Because we still need to survive the early weeks of the season, and these guys help us do that. But it doesn't stop there. Not every handcuff running back or rookie running back or running back with an uncertain backfield are the same. Within these archetypes are a few other characteristics that we need to pursue. We want our running backs to be athletic. We want them to play in a good offense. We want them to have touchdown upside, and we want them to have receiving upside. These four characteristics allow for the most upside if and when they get their opportunity, which is why these are the running backs who will make for a successful zero RB strategy. Once the draft is complete, however, the strategy is not over. It's really just getting started. We need to be vigilant and aggressive on the waiver wire, identifying running backs who can capture the same type of upside that we look for in our draft targets. Luckily, because we took such a different approach on draft day, we won't have to compete as much with our league mates for waiver wire pickups. While they are already strong at running back, they are more likely targeting wide receivers and tight ends off waivers. And as zero RB drafters, we will already be strong at wide receiver and have less competition for those important running back additions. For our zero RB teams, our benches need to include multiple handcuff running backs who are ready to explode the second their starter goes down. We can even roster some rookies who have been discarded by their original drafters who got impatient because they weren't producing right away because they're rookies. Every year we see multiple rookie running backs go off in the last month or so of the season after a slow start. This can also be a good strategy when attacking the trade market. Hey, if you like that video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment on what you want me to talk about next. You can find all my stuff, my rankings, articles, podcasts, more videos like this on yardsperfantasy.com. Just download the Yards Per Fantasy app, and we thank you for your support.